Wife to ask her friend to leave. My wife has a friend, we can call her Berta. Berta likes to show up unannounced, often in an emergency and late at night. My wife has been friends with Berta for years through rougher circumstances. I sent my wife wake me up and herself in the middle of the night to go pick up Berta from the airport. We've offered Berta a place to stay on our couch in the past. The problem is Berta never really asks, nor does my wife. I show up, she's already there, and my wife asks if it's okay she uses our bathroom to get ready for work, or doesn't ask if it's okay if Berta even stayed the night. Berta has stayed a few nights now. Each day waits until evening and I say something and my wife says that the day is included in asking to stay for the night. Then another night passes. I come home today after a stressful day and expect to get some privacy. I go to my bedroom and Berta is sleeping in my bed with my wife, talking about their day. I passive-aggressively text my wife that I had to take a massive, stinking crap, and I hope Berta doesn't mind hearing or smelling it. Both got upset. I feel like my boundaries and consent is being violated. I'm tired. I just want to be home at peace. I just want to be gross in peace. I want quiet again in my house so I can grade. I want to watch my shows in peace. My wife thinks I'm being cruel, that I have too many rules and like she can't have friends. Only today she let me know Berta is houseless and has nowhere to go. So I guess she is staying longer. My wife says since it's her house too, I can't say what happens with her guests. Money is tight for us as is. I support us on my own income, and Berta uses a lot of electricity while I'm at work and eats our food. I'm upset my wife didn't tell me this before I said yes. I want my wife to have friends, I really do, but this friend overstayed her welcome. Am I the asshole for asking my wife to make this friend leave? So there were some relevant comments. Someone says, have you spoken to your wife or, just been passive aggressive? OP says, I have. Last time Berta overstayed her welcome, I sat down with my wife and let her know how I felt. I expressed that Berta overstayed her welcome. She agreed to me letting her know next time when I'm ready for Berta to leave. I let her know last night Berta should leave. I came home in the evening and Berta is still here. Someone says, you're not the arsehole, but that was a childish response. And OP says, you're right. I responded childishly. I don't know what came over me. I was so upset because I let my wife know I was uncomfortable. When I came home, the friend is still here, and this time laying in my bed on my side. At this point, I'm just desperate to get this person to leave. Someone says, does Berta or your wife work? Do you have children? OP says, 1, Berta doesn't work, nor does my wife. 2, no, and right now, I don't think our relationship is in a good place for kids. Someone says they're both living off your money. OP says, I really don't want to feel that way, but I think that might be how I frame it to my wife. But I consented to supporting her financially, not her friend. Someone said, is it possible your wife is sleeping with her? OP says, should I be worried about my wife sleeping with this woman? I'm also concerned that how much my sleep, my privacy, and my work comes after Berta. Regardless of sex, I'm trying to figure out why Berta comes first before me. Someone says, yeah, sleeping in the marital bed is weird. Could your wife be having an affair with her? Someone says, that's weird, right? My wife isn't the first woman I've dated, nor is she the first bi woman I've dated. And that's never happened before, even with queer women I've dated, especially not them sleeping on my side of the bed without asking. I feel like I might have caught something I wasn't supposed to. I'm trying not to be paranoid. Someone says, wait, your wife is bi. Is Berta? Someone says, yes. I don't really want this to become shaming bisexual women though, but yes. And that's why them laying in the bed together. They're just friends. But also, who does that? Someone says, when you walked in, were they cuddling? Did they seem surprised to see you? OP says they were cuddling and stopped. Berta faced towards her and I couldn't see. Maybe I didn't really want to see, I don't know. And then one final thought from OP before the update, which says, it really doesn't seem like I'm in a throuple. I didn't realize I was signing up for. I was really weirded out by the whole situation about him coming home and finding her in the bed as well. They were cuddling. I know there's friendships and stuff, but it definitely does feel weird to me. And I wouldn't be happy with that at all. She sounds like she's made herself way too comfortable in your house if there isn't something further going on. Can you imagine that from like Berta's point of view? How she doesn't feel that strange at all that she's climbing into someone else's bed without the guy knowing about it. How did that scenario even come up? Oh, let's go and snuggle in bed and have a chat or whatever. It feels too weird. When I was younger, I remember my mum had a friend, not quite the same level of weirdness as this, but the friend who seemed to always come round when there was something going on in her life and would just turn up. And it got so weird that she would just start letting herself in our house. I can remember sitting there, I think I might have told this one before. I can remember sitting there watching TV. My mum was in her chair, my dad in his, and I'm just sort of sat like on the below my dad's chair, leaning against his legs. And this woman comes in and she just plonks herself down on the sofa like barefoot. So she must have walked down the street. I mean, she was only like 4 or 5 doors down from us. But she walks in, my mum's watching her usual EastEnders or Coronation Street, whatever soaps on TV at the time. She sort of like brings her feet up to her chest like in a ball while she sat on the sofa and then starts picking her toenails. It was grim. I can remember just thinking, what the fuck's going on? I was quite young at the time. And I think my mum felt real bad for her because she had a rough life and, you know, she was recently divorced. She had 4 kids she was taking care of. I mentioned one of the kids, you know, who the guy who tried using this barrel down the river and the barrel rolled over and he fell out, etc. Real hard life, but when she was turned up doing that sort of shit in my house, I was like, oh, grim. But he who is person says not the arsehole. Your wife is being insanely entitled and rude to you. It's both your houses. Marriage is supposed to be a partnership, not a dictatorship. Guests need to be agreed upon by both. But you need to start using your words and setting boundaries. And you also need to ask yourself whether you really want to spend the rest of your life with someone with so little respect for you. Abby Dorable says not the arsehole is your house too, and your wife isn't considering your boundaries or your peace. Why is Berta taking priority over you? Why is it your wife's responsibility to pick up the pieces of a friend every time? And why doesn't she even consult you when making big decisions like this? It's not healthy for either of you or your marriage. That said, you need to openly communicate with your wife and explain your healthy boundaries and not be passive aggressive. If she can't respect your healthy and reasonable boundaries, maybe she should stay with her parents for a while and take Berta with her. And one final commenter from I Am Irene who says, holy invasion of privacy, dude. Lines being crossed everywhere, but that takes the cake, and it was quoting the bedroom bit. So not the arsehole, but could quickly become one if you don't lay down your boundaries with your wife and her friend. You do deserve peace and privacy in your own home. Berta needs to go. Your wife may think you are cruel for demanding that your boundaries be respected, but I bet she wouldn't appreciate finding you and one of your friends asleep in her bed when she gets home from the store. So OP did update the post and says, I attempted to talk to my wife about it, but she didn't want to talk about it with the friend around. Her and Berta continued last night watching TV loudly in the living room while I was working. Finally, I got up and took the car and left. I just needed to get out. I went for a drive and let my wife know why I was leaving, and Bertha left. When I got home, my wife and I talked for 3 hours. I talked to family and friends and they agreed with me. My wife reassured me there's no romantic or sexual things, but she feels guilty for the friend because my wife was in a similar situation in the past. The situation reads as a very codependent to me, and I tried to explain to my wife the best I could that this codependency is impacting me and our marriage. That it's okay she wants to support her friend, but that she needs boundaries, parameters, and I need to feel like I can say no. And that if she wants to continue a friendship with Bertha, she will be doing it somewhere other than my house. I made it clear I don't like her. I don't like how my wife treats me around her. If she wants to continue, she needs to do it elsewhere. And as for the tension around me paying for everything, I let her know that it would make me less stressed if she did find a job. But if she can't understand wanting to come home and unwind, then maybe she needs to see how hard work is. Because I need that empathy as a bare minimum from a partner. The lack of caring about my comfort or privacy is what concerns me, especially given our financial situation. She seemed to understand. We worked through it, and I'm looking into couples therapy for the both of us, so we have the language and tools to work through it. Opie then explains what happened to Berta and says her boyfriend was kicking her out and they got into an argument. I wasn't aware of that. My wife wanted her to come to our place instead of a shelter. But my thing is, Berta is like this. I'm 30, my wife is 32, and Berta is 31. It's been 10 years of having extenuating circumstances, as my wife calls them. Next time she comes to the house, we need to connect her with services, but this is a close friend to my wife, like a sister. And I think there's a lot of guilt with connecting her to those services. I sound cruel, but Berta goes through a lot of breakups. I'm kind of tired, her relationship instability being our problem. Then more on the wife having a job and them not having kids. Opie says my wife is looking and starts one again soon in a few weeks. She has worked in the past. We discussed her staying at home as we try for kids, because her income is less than what daycare costs in our area. But she had a miscarriage. I think returning has some emotional weight for her. Sorry if this is too much information. I don't want to villainize my wife. And there was a mix of opinions after this one. A lot of people saying that good communication is going to fix things, setting up boundaries. Other people suspecting that things are just going to fall back into the same pattern that they have before. And other people bringing up the arts room. If you know, you know. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Meet B.